This used to be a dream high-end gaming PC. When it first came out, it cost around $1,000. Today, systems like this usually sell on the used market for about $300 to $400. The problem is, even that price is still a bit too much for me. So instead of buying a fully working machine, I decided to take a much riskier route. I bought a broken one for roughly half the price. Now, if you've ever browsed sites like eBay or Facebook Marketplace, you'll know they're full of used computers being sold for surprisingly cheap. But where there are great deals, there are also plenty of scams. And this time, I decided to take the gamble. I spent $200 on this mysterious gaming PC. Now, the big question is, what hardware is actually inside this thing? And more importantly, did I just get scammed? Thankfully, when I opened the box, there was actually a PC inside and not something completely random. They even included a power cable, which I'm hoping I'll get to use once this machine is up and running. However, one thing immediately caught my attention. The seller didn't use any bubble wrap or protective padding, neither inside the box nor outside. So honestly, I have no idea what this computer might have gone through during shipping. Hopefully it survived the journey, and luckily it looks like it did. The case appears to be completely intact, with no cracks or visible damage. Wow, this thing is actually pretty big. From the outside, nothing seems particularly concerning. In fact, it looks surprisingly clean and well-maintained. It almost feels like someone wiped it down right before shipping it to me. But before opening it up, I want to see what kind of problem we're dealing with. So, let's plug in the power cable and try turning it on. And yeah, that's not good. The system doesn't respond at all, not even for a second. No lights, no fans, nothing. It's completely silent, no matter how hard I wish it would come to life. Alright then, let's remove the side panel and take a look inside to see what's going on. The first thing I notice is the power supply. It's a 600-watt unit from Cooler Master. And right next to it, we have a graphics card from Gigabyte. And this is actually an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070 with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, which is pretty crazy because about 10 years ago, this was considered a high-end GPU. For many gamers back then, owning a card like this was an absolute dream. The motherboard inside is an ASRock B365M, which supports 8th and 9th generation Intel processors. The system is also equipped with a 500GB NVMe.2, which is actually a pretty nice bonus. As for memory, it has two 8GB sticks of RAM, giving the system a total of 16 gigabytes. If these parts are still working properly, I've probably already recovered about half of the $200 I spent on this machine. The good news is that RAM and CPU are usually the least likely components to fail, so there's a decent chance they're still fine. Now let's remove the air cooler and take a look at the processor inside. My guess is that it's probably an 8th generation chip. And wow, I was right. It's an Intel Core i5-8400. But right now, the system won't power on at all. My first suspicion is the power supply, so I'm going to start troubleshooting the traditional way, testing the components one by one. First, I'll remove the GPU and try powering the system with just the CPU and RAM installed. That should make it easier to narrow down the problem, and as you can see, nothing happens. The system still refuses to start. So I'll move on to a test I usually do when diagnosing a dead PC. Oh no, this isn't good. It looks like the power supply is completely dead. When I try to jumpstart it directly, there's almost no response at all. At this point, I'm not even going to attempt repairing it. My knowledge of PSU repair is basically zero. Instead, I'll grab another power supply and see if the rest of the components are still alive. But unfortunately, the bad luck continues. Even with another power supply, the system still doesn't show any signs of life. Now I'm starting to worry that something else might be wrong. To investigate further, I'll try installing a different CPU into the system. This should help confirm whether the issue is coming from the processor or the motherboard. And still nothing. No power, no activity, absolutely no signs that the system wants to start. At this point, the motherboard is becoming the main suspect, so I decided to remove it from the case and take a closer look. And that's when I noticed something unusual. Near the CPU cooler mounting area, there's a visible scratch or damage on the motherboard. I honestly have no idea how this happened. Part of me is wondering if it could have been caused by a screwdriver slipping while installing the cooler. It's actually easier to do than you might think, especially if you're tightening screws and your hand slips. That kind of mistake is pretty common, particularly for beginners. But with damage this severe, I'm afraid this motherboard might be beyond saving. And realistically, it probably shouldn't be on the used market anymore. Alright, so the next step is to install all the remaining components onto another motherboard to see if they're still working. At this point, I'm really hoping my $200 gamble doesn't turn into a complete loss. And oh my god, The PC actually powers on. That's already a huge relief, but unfortunately, we're not out of the woods yet. The system still isn't displaying anything on the screen, even though the graphics card is installed. That makes me wonder, could the GPU also be broken? Wait a second. Looking at the debug LED on the motherboard, it's actually indicating a RAM issue. Alright, so the first thing I'll try is cleaning the memory contacts and reinstalling the modules. After putting them back in, still nothing. The system refuses to display anything, and the motherboard continues to report a memory error. So now I'm going to test the RAM one stick at a time. First, I removed one module and tried booting the system with just a single stick installed. And success! The system posts normally, but when I switch to the other stick and test it by itself, the system freezes again. So it looks like that module is definitely faulty, which means, in the end, only one RAM stick is still usable. But the investigation isn't over yet. We still need to test the remaining components, especially the graphics card and the storage drive. So first, let's take a look at what's inside this SSD. Who knows, maybe there's a hidden Bitcoin wallet in there. That would be amazing. As I mentioned earlier, the drive has 500 gigabytes of storage. Now I'm going to check its health, and yeah, that's not great. The drive health is sitting at about 58%. That's definitely not ideal for long-term use because drives at this level can sometimes fail unexpectedly at any moment. But for now, I'm still going to install a game on it and run some tests to see how well it performs. Next up is the GPU, which is also one of the most important parts to check when you buy a used graphics card. To test it, I'm going to run Furmark, a well-known stress testing tool that pushes the GPU to its limits. This will help me check both the temperature and the overall stability of the card. If the test completes without any crashes or visual artifacts, that's usually a very good sign. And fortunately, this GPU passes the test without any issues. The temperatures also look pretty reasonable. Looking at the results from Furmark, running on the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070 paired with an Intel Core i5-8400, the GPU is operating at almost full load, around 98% utilization. The temperature stays between 60 and 68 degrees Celsius, with a hotspot reaching roughly 70 to 76 degrees Celsius, which is perfectly acceptable. At 1080p resolution, the benchmark produces around 80 to 85 frames per second, showing that the card is still performing very well and the cooling system is working properly. To make sure the remaining components are still working properly, I'm going to test them with a few games. The first one is probably a huge challenge for this system: Cyberpunk 2077. At first, the game couldn't even reach 20 frames per second, and the frame rate kept dropping constantly. Then I realized, oh wait, I accidentally left the settings on high. Alright, let's lower it to medium and see what happens. Now the performance improves quite a bit. The frame rate can reach around 50 frames per second. But the real limitation here isn't the CPU, it's actually the RAM, since the system is currently running with only 8 gigabytes. So I decided to install another 8 gigabyte stick and see if that makes a difference. And interestingly, the frame rate increased by about 30 frames per second, and the game feels much more stable compared to running with only 8 gigabytes. Next, I wanted to test the GPU, so I launched Minecraft. With shaders enabled, the frame rate stays around 70 frames per second while flying, and when moving around on the ground, it can reach up to 90 frames per second. Finally, let's test the CPU performance with Fortnite. Here, the frame rate stays around 100 frames per second most of the time, but it looks like the CPU is starting to bottleneck the system, preventing the GPU from reaching its full potential. Because of that, the frame rate sometimes becomes a little unstable. So, to sum everything up, considering that I bought a broken PC with 3 major failed components, the power supply, the motherboard, and 1 stick of RAM, the situation honestly isn't as bad as it could have been. However, when you remember that I paid $200 for the system, not even counting the shipping cost, well, it's not exactly a great deal either. That said, I didn't lose too much money. Just the graphics card alone is worth about $100 on the used market, which already recovers a big part of what I spent. And the most important thing is, I didn't get scammed. So overall, I'd say this risky purchase could have gone a lot worse. Alright, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I wish you a great day ahead.